Join me as I dive into the chaos of the Illyrian Wars and try to piece together what really happened during this epic conflict. The Illyrian Wars, which unfolded during the early years of Rome's expansion, marked a critical turning point in the history of the Adriatic and beyond. As Rome's influence began to grow, the Illyrians, a seafaring people, controlled much of the Adriatic coast and maintained powerful piracy that threatened Roman trade routes. Despite being on the rise, Rome had little understanding of the volatile nature of the Illyrians and the complex political dynamics of the region. In the midst of this tension, King Agron of the Ardiaei, a prominent Illyrian leader, led his people to notable victories. However, Agron's sudden death altered the fate of the Illyrians. His widow, Teuta, ascended to power, initially ruling in her late husband's name. But it quickly became apparent that Teuta, more than anyone else, held the true power, as she was named regent for her stepson. It was under her rule that piracy escalated to dangerous levels, threatening the prosperity of the Roman Republic. Roman merchants soon began complaining about the growing menace of piracy, and the Roman Senate, concerned about the economic impact, sent envoys to the Illyrians to demand an end to the attacks. In 230 BC, the Roman delegation, led by the Coruncanius brothers, arrived in Illyria to deliver a direct ultimatum to Teuta. Their demand was clear: cease all piracy or face Roman intervention. But Teuta, either due to her inability to control her decentralized allies or a desire to resist Roman pressure, refused. Things escalated quickly when a Roman envoy was killed, potentially at Teuta's command, or by pirates in the aftermath of the diplomatic mission. This was the breaking point for Rome, who had no choice but to take military action. In 229 BC, Rome gathered a massive military force, 22,000 soldiers and 200 ships, to launch a campaign against Illyria. The Roman legions descended on the region, overpowering the Illyrian forces. The campaign was swift and decisive. In a critical turn of events, Demetrius of Pharos, a high-ranking Illyrian commander, defected to the Romans. The Illyrian resistance crumbled further. Despite their best efforts, Teuta's forces were defeated, and by 228 BC, she was forced to surrender, agreeing to a peace treaty with Rome. The treaty resulted in the dismantling of her kingdom, with piracy outlawed in the southern Adriatic Sea. Rome withdrew its troops but left behind its amicitia, or friendship, which soon proved to be more than a simple diplomatic term. It marked the beginning of Illyria's subjugation to Roman control. One of the key beneficiaries of this peace was Demetrius of Pharos, who, in exchange for his defection, was granted a small independent principality. Despite his newfound power, Demetrius was ambitious, and after marrying Teuta, the biological mother of the young Illyrian king, he effectively recreated the Illyrian kingdom. His actions, however, led to his eventual downfall. With Rome distracted by the ongoing Roman-Gallic War, Demetrius began launching raids against Roman allied territories, testing whether Rome would respond. His confidence was soon shattered, however, as Rome was not as passive as he believed. In 220 BC, Demetrius made his biggest mistake yet, launching a major piracy expedition that violated the peace treaty. This time, Rome's patience ran out, and in 219 BC, the Romans mobilized again to crush Demetrius. The battle to reclaim Roman dominance was swift and brutal. Rome attacked Demetrius's strongholds, such as Demalum and Pharos, taking the former in just 7 days. Demetrius, seeing his forces disintegrate, fled by sea, leaving his family behind to face imprisonment and his men to face death at Roman hands. In his flight, he sought refuge in the Greek city of Actium. where he found protection under Philip V of Macedon. But would the Macedonian king trust him? Meanwhile, Rome had once again demonstrated its military might by withdrawing its troops, but showing the world, especially the Macedonians, that they were willing to intervene when necessary. However, this was not the last time Rome would be involved in the east. With Illyria subdued, Rome shifted its focus toward Greece and Macedonia. The Illyrian Wars were a significant chapter in Roman history, showcasing both Rome's growing imperial ambitions and its capacity to deal decisively with threats to its trade and security. The wars also set the stage for future Roman interventions in Greece, leading eventually to the conquest of the Hellenistic kingdoms. The legacy of the Illyrian Wars is complex. While piracy was suppressed, the spirit of resistance remained in the hearts of the Illyrians. For Rome, it was a hard-earned victory that secured their dominance over the Adriatic, but also set a precedent for their expanding empire. The wars left a lasting mark on the Mediterranean as Rome's influence spread, laying the foundation for centuries of Roman rule. What are your thoughts on the Illyrian Wars? Do you think Rome's intervention was justified, or was it simply a step toward imperial expansion? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into history, check out my other videos on ancient conflict.